All right. In the FromSoft boss rankings, we have done Demon Souls, Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3, Bloodborne, and Sekiro. It is time for Elden Ring. Elden Ring. Is it the best game? Is it the best FromSoft game? It might be. Does it have the best bosses? Let's find out. The biggest problem with Elden Ring is determining what even counts as a boss. This is the list I have. I am okay with some objections with, hey, this should be included, this should be excluded. I am open to opinions on that. I'm willing to change it up. So just let me know. Tier list. Bloodhound Knight Darwill, D. Just a below average. I think the moveset's a little janky and awkward. So I'm going to go D tier. Crucible Knight. No awkwardness, no jankiness. Very clean, very crisp. If this was in Dark Souls 1, it'd be S tier. I'm going to go A. Erdtree Burial Watchdog. Pretty average. I know I just said that Bloodhound Knight is awkward, but I think the Burial Watchdogs are awkward, but there's at least a little more predictable. I think it's kind of cool how at first it seems completely unpredictable, but then you kind of realize some of their tells and you can dodge them later. Flying Dragons. Oh my gosh. I'm gonna have to go E tier. And the thing is, after killing Agil, I was like, Flying Dragons A tier. But then you fight them. You fight Borealis, and you fight Exix, and you fight Glintstone, and you just like... And the flaws in the fight become apparent. The first time you fight it, it's kind of fun getting on Torrent and chasing down a dragon. It's like you're hunting the dragon. But having the dragons fly away from you so many times and chasing them it just gets annoying. And that's kind of a common thing with a lot of FromSoft or a lot of Elden Ring bosses. That's one of my two biggest complaints with Elden Ring bosses, is like delayed attacks and chasing and running away. And the Flying Dragons just run away. Godric the Grafted, though, does not suffer from either one of those problems. Godric the Grafted is S tier. He would be S+, but he's too easy, and so he's like just a little bit too easy, and so you don't get the amount of replay value that you get out of like a Millennia. But as far as embodying his lore, embodying what he's supposed to be, he's perfect. He fits the narrative. The storytelling through the boss, where he is a demigod, but he's not super strong. He's not super difficult. His visual design is awesome. The cutscene before and after are both awesome. He's amazing. The only problem is he's too easy to be S+ tier, similar to Gascoigne. He is the Gascoigne of Elden Ring. Early game, perfection. Grafted Scion. I'm going to go D tier. I don't enjoy fighting this boss very much. I also think it was kind of forced, like doing the whole, forced death thing. Just, it's kind of old. I don't like rehashing the same trope all the time. I'm going to go D. Margit the Fell Omen. So if the Flying Dragons perfectly exemplifies the running away problem, Margit perfectly exemplifies the delayed attack problems. I'm going to go B tier because he's still a good fight and he's still really cool and he has good dialogue. But man, for a boss this early in the game, his his combos are too long. And for a boss at any point in the game, the delays are too crazy. I don't like that. If you just shorten his combos, made them more predictable, it just seems like there are so many mix-ups. It's like you never know what he's going to do. You never know when the last hit of the combo has been done. It's like it's very hard to punish. And I've mentioned this before. It's, you want a good balance between offense and defense. You want a good balance between avoiding damage and dealing damage. And with Margit, It's all avoiding, very little dealing. It's like you're always on your, it's like, oh, is he done? Is he done? Is he done? You never know. So B tier for me. Knights Cavalry, I think, is one of the best field bosses. I really like fighting them. They look really cool. They come out at night and they drop really awesome loot. I mean, what more do you want from a boss? Fun to fight, fun loot, cool looking. That's a solid boss to me. B tier. Tree Sentinel, I'm going to also say B tier. I would go A, but there's too many of them. And like too many bosses with the same moveset. But it's going to be B tier because, you know, the fact that it's the first enemy, really, that you see in the game. And for anybody who stayed and gritted their teeth and killed the Tree Sentinel, it's like it's a signature moment in the game. So I'm going to say B tier. Tibia Mariner, F tier minus, really. Like, they don't do anything. They're just a pinata. They're a pinwheel. You just walk up and hit them and they die. And that's all there is to it. Ulcerated Tree Spirit. Oh gosh, I hate this boss as well. I hate this boss. I hate this boss. Tibia Mariner is better than that. Ulcerated Tree Spirit is similar to Osiros, where their arena, like when you're in the catacombs and the dungeons, the arena's too small. But when you're outside, then they run away. So it's like there's no winning with them. And then their whole body's a hitbox. They're hard to like kind of read. I don't like them at all. F minus. Erdtree Avatar, aka Asylum Demon. C. Definition of average. They've got some good combos. Cool enough looking, iconic little butt smash. I think Vanguard Demon, Asylum Demon, and Erdtree Avatar, they're all so similar, they have to be in the same tier. So C. Leonine Misbegotten. I like this boss. I think I'm gonna go B tier because they're a little bit better than average. They're very, very aggressive. And so I think for any level, they're very, very aggressive. And so I think for any level of experience, they're going to give you a level of tension in the fight. And I like that. But they're also not too hard because you can kind of R1 spam them and make them flinch. They're kind of like the Abyss Watchers. So I'm going to go B tier. A Dawn Thief of Fire, no opinion. Black Knife Electo Ringleader. I'll go B. I'll go C. I think there's a lot of Black Knives. Well, but then he kind of has the Destined Death, like, so that's kind of cool, the special knife. But I don't think he's as good as these ones. I think the Black Knives are okay. They get old, and then, yeah, he's got a variation on his moveset, but not enough to be better than a C. Deathrite Bird, I'll also go with C. Very cool looking, very aesthetic, cool fight, but I think the explosions can be a little much. There's a lot to avoid. They are kind of easy to stagger, but I'm gonna go C. Magma Worm Makar. You know, the fact that you fight a lot of the Magma Worms in dungeons, similar to the Ulcerated Tree Spirit, it's just not enough room. You know, with Quelaag, the amount of lava that she spews makes it to where you have to think about positioning, but it doesn't cover the whole arena. This guy covers the whole arena, and his whole body's a hitbox. You know, this guy covers the whole arena with his lava, and his whole body is a hitbox. So I'm gonna go E tier. Yeah, E tier. Red Wolf of Radagon. I like this boss a lot. It's similar to the Leonine, where it's very aggressive but squishy. It's a fun fight. I might go A. Renala. A lot of running away, a lot of chasing simulator. I think because she's a remembrance and she has a beautiful arena, she means a lot to the story, means a lot to the lore. I'll go C, but I'm being generous. Royal Knight Loretta. Just a worse tree sentinel, but you know, she has some magic attacks and that's pretty fun. So I'll go C. Now, when you get to the true Loretta, I have a stronger opinion on her there. Commander O'Neill. He summons a lot. He doesn't do a lot. Not that fun to just fight a summoner who walks after you. He never runs. He just walks, and it's a huge arena, so you can just get on Torrent and run away from him and go in and just like, yeah, pendulum and hit him. I'm going to go E. The Crucible Knight and Misbegotten Warrior. Terrible boss. I'm going to go F minus. That boss sucks. Erdtree Burial Watchdog Duo. I'll go just under the normal Watchdog. I'll go D. It is a double reskin, but it's okay. Falling Star Beast. I'm going to go B. I think it's a really good beast fight, similar to Sanctuary Guardian, Ava, and all those type of bosses. I think it's just a good beast fight. Not the one in the dungeon. The one in the cave, the arena's too small. But the one outside, that one's a lot of fun for me. And I think it's different enough from the full grown to warrant a separate entry. Star Scourge Radon. You know, after my first playthrough, he was S+. But after fighting him a couple times, there are some flaws in Radon. And I think it's just the attacks are too delayed. So that's a little bit annoying. And it's not clear if you're supposed to fight him on a horse or on foot. And so I can't give him an S+ because he got some mechanical flaws. But as far as what he means to the lore, to the story, the whole festival, the uniqueness of having this festival where you're supposed to summon 20 NPCs to help you, I think that's really awesome, really unique. His visual design is awesome. His second phase, his moves are very good looking, very epic looking. The second phase transformation, the meteor is really cool. The fact that he's holding up the stars, I mean, come on. I'm gonna go S tier. Blackblade Kindred is similar to the Crucible Knight for me, mechanically super sound, and it's actually killing the Blackblade Kindred and reading the item description is what that's how I learned that the Beast Clergyman was Malekith. And so that's kind of cool. They do run away a lot, but they also close gaps a lot. And so I think they kind of make up for that, like flying away, by immediately diving back at you. So I'm going to go A tier. Very solid mechanical fight. Godskin Apostle, same deal. Mechanically very solid. Some people would complain about the input reading with the healing. However, I think it makes sense because it's such an open arena that you can just run away and heal. And so they got to be able to counter that somehow. And that's how they did it. So I like it. A tier. Lanciax. Ankle biting simulator. I hate those. We've already solved the dragon problem with Midir. Why are we reverting back to ankle biting? I'm gonna go C tier. I'm sorry, Lanciax, but I know what a dragon fight can be, so I can't give you higher. Elmer of the Briar, A tier. Again, similar to like a lot of those Dark Souls 3, like the Dragon Slayer armor and the Dancer and Champion Gundyr. Doesn't mean a lot to the story or the lore, but fantastic mechanical fight. And I really like that he follows you around and you see him many times. It kind of builds up the fight for me. Ooh, is he an S? Nah, he's not an S. He's an A tier fight. Very, very good fight. Tree Sentinel Duo. You know, similar to the folding screen monkeys, when the fight is a gimmick fight, but you can get around the gimmick. You know, similar to the folding screen monkeys, when the fight is like a gimmick fight, but you can get around the gimmick, kind of kills that for me. This is basically just 2 tree sentinels that you can fight separately. So I'm gonna go below. Abductor Virgins, I don't like this fight at all. I'm gonna go F tier. Just annoying. Full grown Falling Star Beast, I'm gonna go A tier. I think it is different enough to warrant its own entry, and it's better. And I love how it looks. The moves are very pretty, how it suspends gravity and everything. It's gonna be A tier for me. Rykard. So I mentioned that before Rykard existed, Yorm was A tier. But Rykard showed me how good a Storm Ruler fight can be. S tier. The cutscene is awesome. Both phases are awesome. The only problem I have with him is that some of his like magic skulls or whatever that follow you are a little too hard to avoid. But I'm gonna go S tier. If you said S plus, I'm not mad at it. Okay, Godskin Apostle, I put it A. Godskin Noble, I'm putting it E. I don't like this boss. We all know why. The roly-poly is ridiculous. Okay, I don't like it. It's too difficult to dodge, and it lasts way too long. That one fight kills it for me. Without that move, it's probably a B. I do think some of like the stabs are too fast. To be they're a little frustrating, but I'm gonna say E overall because of that roll. Double Crucible Knight, it's a lot of baiting and a lot of running around, similar to Throne Watcher Defender. I'm gonna go E tier. Draconic Tree Sentinel. If it wasn't for the horse breathing the quick ball of fire, the input reading, I would say B tier, but I'm gonna say C tier because of that fire. And the reason I don't like it on this one, despite not minding it on the Apostle, is because the Apostle doesn't have any gap closers. The Draconic Tree Sentinel is on a horse. If it wanted to punish you for healing, it could just charge at you instead of like input reading and spewing fire at you. I don't like that. Fell Twins, I'm gonna go F minus. I don't even like the Omens alone as enemies. And so giving them, so it's regular enemies and it's a gank, and I don't even like the enemies. So it's like, that's an F minus. Godfrey, first Elden Lord, I'm gonna go C tier. It's average. Maybe without the true form of Godfrey, it could be a B, but because I know what's coming, it's gonna be just an average fight. Moog the Omen, same thing. I'm gonna go C. Exact same analysis there. Morgoth the Omen King, I'm gonna go A. I could be convinced into an S, but I'm gonna have to I have to fight him again. You know, for whatever reason, you know, the game really built up Morgoth, and it wanted you to care a lot about Morgoth, and for whatever reason, I never did. Even though he has so much dialogue and all this stuff. For whatever reason, I never really connected to him. I know he has got a great backstory, and it's very tragic, but I never bought in all the way. Commander Nile, much better than Commander O'Neill. I'm gonna go B tier. The summoning is annoying, but his moves are super awesome and they look really cool, and the lightning is really awesome, and he's mechanically good. So B tier. Fire Giant, it's crazy, man, because we already know how to deal with this. F tier. I'm sorry. You know, when he does his little somersault and that insta-kills you, frustrating. When his attacks take up such a wide area, frustrating. He's very frustrating. He's not super rewarding. And I hate ankle biting. And we already have this solved. Okay, Tower Knight, where he falls down, or Storm Ruler, where you can keep the camera zoomed out. One of the two. If you're gonna have the camera zoomed in, break him down more. Because even on his knees, he's still too big. He's still 10 times bigger than Yorm on his knees. And so he's just way too big. The camera sucks. You could have just had us use the Storm Ruler again. Why not just have us use it again? Like, who cares if you're repeating it? It's better than what we had. So, Roundtable Knight Vike, more of an invader, but I guess he's a boss. I'll put him at C. Malekith, S+. he's perfect. He's perfect. The fact that he's the beast clergyman and you're giving him death root and you figure out who he is if you read item descriptions and you know that this is coming, and the whole destined death and the lore and the narrative and the backstory, and then the mechanics of the fight, both phases are really, really good. And like the second phase is so cinematic and so good looking. S+ for me, he's perfect. Perfect difficulty as well. Dragon Lord Placidusax, I'll go A tier. I think he's really, really cinematic. He's probably the best looking boss. I don't know. I never really loved fighting him. I think he's a little too big. He gets out of the camera a little bit, but he is epic enough to make up for that. I'm going to go A tier. Godskin Duo, Mimic tier, I'll go F. Great Worm Theodrix, I think he's a little bit better than the Magma Worms because he stands up, he's got some better slashes, and his arena is bigger. So I'll go D. Loretta, Knight of the Erdtree, F. Why? It's a reskin of a reskin of a reskin of a reskin. You have fought so many Tree Sentinels at this point. You fought the Tree Sentinel and the Draconic Tree Sentinel and the Double Tree Sentinel, and then you fight Ghost Loretta, and then you fight real Loretta. It's just too much, dude. I can't do the same boss 100,000 times, and you give it different armor, and I consider it a good boss, okay? This is Fire Sage Demon. That's what she is. Millennia. I'm gonna go A tier. Now, here's the thing. I mentioned this in the Dark Souls 2 video. There are moments when fighting Millennia that it is the greatest, most immersive sword fight between two excellent swordsmen in the whole franchise. That's the feeling that I get. It's just like so immersive, where it's like we're watching each other's every move, you know, like two gunslingers waiting for to flinch. But that and she's got 2 health bars. She's got a lot of health. And I don't even mind the lifesteal. I hate the waterfowl dance because it breaks up the immersion. It breaks up this amazing duel that you have, because you go from being very engaged to dodging and whiff punishing, dodging, like the offense and defense, right? It's the whole balance that I keep mentioning. And then it gets into, after 45 seconds, after 60 seconds, it creeps up in your mind, and you're like, let me bait that attack out, and then run away, and then we can resume the fight. And it's like you calling time out in the middle of the fight a bunch of times, and I hate that. So I'm gonna go A tier. If it wasn't for Waterfowl, she'd be S+. But yeah, Moog, Lord of Blood, S+. Probably the best fight in the game, in my opinion. He's got awesome mechanics. He has a lot of delayed attacks, but I don't mind them. He kind of has the similar thing to Quelaag, but it doesn't, you know, the lava doesn't take up the whole arena, and it's kind of easily avoidable. He's got a good amount of health. He's not too beefy, and he's just awesome. And, you know, some people would say, oh, well, the Nihil, how could you be S+? How could you be perfect when you have unavoidable, not just unavoidable damage, but unavoidable life drain? Here's the thing. You get 2 items to deal with him. You have Moog's Shackle, and you have the tier, the cracked tier, or the physic tier. Just getting one of those evens the playing field. Getting 2 of them gives you the edge over the life drain, because with the Moog's Shackle, you can use it twice. That's like that's like instantly phase 1 if you're properly leveled, if you are. Because with Moog's Shackle, you can instantly get him to phase 1 because you get to use it twice. And if you're properly leveled, it's instantly phase 1. And then with the obviously with the physic tier, you just negate it completely. And the third thing is, when he drains a lot of life and he heals a lot, but he's not doing anything. Like, he's standing there free to hit. And so if you have the physic tier, you can just wail on him, and you can pretty much negate almost all the damage that he heals. So I think it's perfectly balanced even with that attack. S+, what he means to the lore and the story and his atmosphere and the music and the visual design and the move set and, you know, the rewarding you for exploring with 2 different items, S+. He's amazing. Dragonkin Soldier, I'm going to go, that's an average, maybe a below average fight for me. Really not that exciting. Regal Ancestor Spirit, same thing. You know, people say it's the most beautiful fight. Oh, the Regal Ancestor Spirit is so beautiful. I don't really agree. Like, it's cool, but I think there are a lot of other fights that are more visually pleasing than the Ancestor Spirit. So, Valiant Gargoyles, aka the 4th Gargoyle gank. FromSoft. Stop it. We have the Man-Eaters. That's a good fight. We have the Bell Gargoyles. That's a really good fight. We have the Belfry Gargoyles. That's a really bad fight. And now we have the Valiant Gargoyles, which is a terrible fight. It's even worse than the Belfry Gargoyles. And because it's like, dude, they don't mesh well together. Their aggression is not tempered. And that poison breath is insane. I don't like, it's like we already solved that's the thing. Fire Giant, we've already solved this problem. Give him a Storm Ruler. Valiant Gargoyles, we've already solved this problem. With the breath attack, give them a warning like how you do with Demon Prince, where the breath comes out and you have a chance to escape. Lanciax, we've already solved this problem with Midir. It's like, why are we reverting? Why are we taking steps back here in some of these bosses? So that's my problem with Elden Ring, man. I think the bosses are up and down. Fia's Champions. We've already done the gank squad. F-. Lich Dragon Fortisax. I'll go B tier. I think he's a little better than Lansax. He's more visually pleasing. But again, it's ankle biting. Astel. I'm going to go A tier. I think Astel is really good. You can actually hit his head. And he's enormous, though. He's absolutely enormous. But his head hangs low. And you can do jumping attacks. And he's visually one of the best bosses. See, people talk about Regal Ancestor Spirit visually pleasing. What about Astel? That's who I think is visually pleasing. Godfrey and Horalu. S+. He's S+. Godfrey and Horalu is amazing. The cutscenes, the cinematic, and the actual fight, the mechanics. That first phase of Godfrey is so smooth and so good. Like this game has problem with delayed attacks, but Godfrey is butter smooth, man. I love Godfrey. And then Horalu is also awesome, and he does these crazy wrestling moves, throws you up in the air and breaks your back. Amazing fight. Gideon. I'm gonna go B tier. Some people don't like him. I like him. You know, he means a lot to the story and the narrative, and you know, he does spam you like crazy, but you can also spam him. So I think it's balanced. It just ends very quickly. It's like the Ashina Elite. So I'm gonna give him B tier. Radagon, I'm gonna give S tier. You know, Radagon is like amazing. He's perfect. There's just not enough of him. The moveset is perfect. The fight just doesn't last long enough. It's like the moveset is perfect. There's just not enough moves. There's not a second phase, really. Yeah, there's kind of a pseudo second phase. But if they would have just had 2 phases of Radagon, and maybe you can see maybe the Elden Beast's head pops out of Radagon's body, and that could have been the second fight, and then Radagon just gains some new moves, that would have been great for me. But I just wish Radagon would have truly gotten a second phase. He would be S+. He'd be the best boss. He would be the best boss. He's the highest S tier right now, I think. And then finally, Elden Beast. Elden Beast beats out Nishandra for the worst final boss. I don't like this boss at all. I think he's annoying. He runs away, and on release, he was really tough because of the Elden stars just followed you forever, and then he spammed magic at you. I don't like this boss at all. He's visually pleasing at least, That's it. That's all I can say. So let's submit that. $60 ratings. And look at the analysis. All right. And we'll do this separately.